if the AI becomes too powerful, if the person who does program the AI has those false intentions, then this can turn into a really madhouse. Welcome back, peeps. Welcome back. Today, another episode with Monish and me talking about AI today. Open AI is a big thing that I've seen over the last week. And I just wanted to touch base on this, how you make money of it, if you should be worried about making money or losing your job by using AI, and what it basically means, what the future might look like with AI, artificial intelligence. So, Monish, what do you think of AI? How much were you involved or are you involved in AI, or how much does it affect you to this day?
Well, I think AI is it's technology at the end of the day, which is good, and it can help systemize a lot of things and take a lot of the legwork out of what you do day to day, and therefore then you can focus on higher productivity tasks, higher income generating tasks, or like things that really involve a level of human sort of evaluation, if you like. So, like, for example, things like filing and scanning and things like that, they can be quite mundane, monotonous. And if we could use AI to do those sorts of things, or like reconciliations and accounts, if we can use AI in some form to take out some of that headache, some of that legwork, then yeah, it can be beneficial. I think a lot of people are actually scared of it as to where it can go. And I understand the fears of it. And, takes us on to, it's almost like a thought experiment, isn't it? Where can AI actually take us? So I actually use some AI built into software that I use that helps me day to day or month to month to do what I need to do. In terms of the future for it, I think it's very much it's an open question. I really don't know where it could take us. Hopefully, it does allow people, as generally people, to stop doing those mundane tasks and work on more creative tasks that push society.
Yeah, I'm I'm so as of this week, I actually get scared of AI because I see the hidden, okay, so the hidden, how do you say that? The hidden danger that it's not obvious if you don't look to it, and if you don't spend attention to it, it's not visible. But I will enlighten you with everything I discovered this week, because I needed to do some research. And there's an OpenAI blog, or like if you're familiar with Avengers, there's Jarvis, who is basically the assistant of Iron Man. And basically, this software is called Chat GPT. And what it does is basically just answering you all sorts of questions. You can ask public figure questions, what in history class happened, or they can write you an essay, they can write you blog content. And this is mainly why I tried it out, just to see how far can it go. And I was a firm believer until last week, or like this week. Creativity is just something humanity can do. And then for some weird reason, I tried Chat GPT out. And what I came across was AI can take over creativity. And this is scary, because if this is being taken away from humankind, what is left for human beings to actually get done in the world? Because they're robots, they're stronger, long lasting, more efficient, less errors. If they take on creativity, but what's left? So I was really curious of, okay, so where does it go? This is like future 100 plus years. So don't worry about that. But in general, what I think is when I try to have political agendas find out, because if you have a conversation with a person, they can make assumptions, they can make predictions based on their beliefs and not on facts, right? And I try to get some political agendas out of this platform. And I tried it out and asked specific questions about Trump, for example, or about Biden, or about the Democrats versus Republican contradiction. And funny enough, which was a good thing, the AI was able to say, hey, this is not my room of thing, but it only can act on things that human put in. So the AI is not able to scrap the internet by itself. So that makes me question whoever is designing or programming this particular AI, if they have a bias and they make this AI leaning towards one thing versus another, that can lead to a huge disaster in about 10 to 15 years. Because if AI can think freely, and this is something I've been thinking of also, Ventures, when Jarvis becomes, I think, Mind, and Ultron. Like this fight of Ultron wants to have this perfect world, and the perfect world exists without human being, versus Jarvis or Mind is involving humankind and humanity and the imperfection and just implement it into the world, which is quite interesting to see. But yeah, have you seen the AI where everyone is making their profile picture now, or like a portrait?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of points to touch on. Firstly, Chat GPT. I just searched that up now, and in fact, so this is quite an interesting thing, isn't it? So essentially, you can ask this AI any question, and it will spit back some information. Um, and in terms of making profile pictures and things like that, I signed up. I had a hacker man person. I refer to anyone that is very techie as a quote unquote hacker man. They're not actually a hacker man. Well, they probably could hack you, but basically, I spoke to this guy who does all coding and whatnot, and he said, check out this DALL-E thing. So DALL-E, which is exactly what you're talking about. Is you type in whatever you want, and it will just make up that sort of image. And some of the stuff seems very real. Like you could say, for example, what does hell look like, and it will spit out a load of images. And in fact, this Chat GPT, so all of this stuff is open.ai, isn't it? And I actually managed to log into this with the same login that I used for DALL-E. I think it's called DALL-E. I'll just double check. And I think that, you're saying in 100+ years and things like that. Really, I think it could be a lot sooner, because AI evolves much quicker than we do ourselves. And that's why it could be potentially dangerous or scary, is because essentially AI could evolve to a point at which where humans cannot react quick enough to stop that from happening. Now, of course, you could just say, unplug the computer or whatever. But the reality of things is that, everything is moving online. Everything is online, really. We are very much a online society at this point in time. So I can understand why it would be dangerous, or people could get scared about it. But at the end of the day, it all depends on whoever's making that AI and what their intentions are, right?
It definitely is, and I don't know. I have to think back onto the FTX incident with that guy who basically screwed over millions of people and lost over 2 billion of capital. I mean, if it's true what he's portraying to do, like portraying of doing, and this, I think it's the same way how Mark Zuckerberg was acting when he was like in court, and the judge was basically asking all those tough questions. I think if it's true what they tried to portray is making it as perfect as it possibly can. But I think there's like a caveat to it where it can turn upside down, where we lose full control. And let's just say, I mean, have you seen I, Robot with Will Smith? I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, we do a lot of movie references now, but ultimately, what I want to just show is, if the AI becomes too powerful, not in a way that it's taking over the world, but if the person who does program the AI has those kind of false, what is it called? Intentions, those false intentions, then this can turn into a really madhouse. And I think this is where it comes down to. And funny enough, yeah, last night I was watching Marcus Bowley. Check out his YouTube channel. He talks usually about tech and Apple and Android phones and all this tech stuff. But he made a really great YouTube video about the legality of AI, and this comes back to FTX with the money thing. How far is too far in terms of creating AI content? And then the question is about copyrights. Like creative minds that have, I don't know, there's Van Gogh, there's all sorts of famous artists, for example, but now AI can just copy and just modify it slightly so it looks a little bit different, but it's not. And so he talks about like the legality aspect of it. And when I think about it, it's very similar to the NFT crypto scene. What do you think? The legality is just not existing. It will be a wild western.
This is the thing, is that it takes a long time to create these laws, right? And the reality of things is that these new or AI or crypto, they can move quicker than we can make the laws against them or against certain parts of them. And you want to think and you want to believe in some sort of capacity that human beings are generally have some sort of good intention, but the reality is that that may not always be the case. So when you're creating stuff like AI and things that are very much open source, that's where it gets a little bit potentially tricky, because realistically, if you're going to say, okay, we're going to make AI to do X, Y, Z, that's going to benefit society, you would want a group of people to be looking at that, i.e., have a segregation of duties and don't have self-review but peer review, which means that when someone would to potentially have negative intentions when they were making it, someone else would be able to pick up on that and stop that. And really, I mean, we saw it in the Avengers movie, right, with Jarvis. So with people that are not familiar yet, like you said, is Iron Man's basically his computer system that does everything. You can just ask him whatever, and then I think it's supposed to be a female, right? Jarvis, I'm not sure.
No, I think he's a male. But yeah.
Well, anyway, regardless, basically, he would ask Jarvis this and that. Jarvis would come back and be like, "Here's some rockets," or "Here's another suit," or something. And then in the movie, although that had always ever been used for good intentions, it got basically infected, and then it was then used for bad intentions. I can't remember exactly how they stopped it. that to like somehow override it or something like that. But that's the scary thing about AI, is because if you were to create that and then AI is evolving quicker than essentially you can, or evolving quicker than you can
Yeah.
produce solutions, then where does that put you? Because when you want to then, even if you had a back door to these sorts of things, the AI could technically cover up that back door quicker than you can make a new one. So then it puts you in a difficult position. And you can say, okay, let's steer clear of AI entirely, or just use it for very basic things like this, DALI, just making a picture of whatever you type in. I just had a go now typing in Picasso painting a chicken nugget on a bridge, and it didn't come up with exactly any pictures that would look like they were made by Picasso, although some of them look somewhat real. There's one here for chicken painting itself, which is quite interesting. But it's a difficult one, really, because it's like, do you want to limit AI? But then by definition of having open source AI, there's no limitation.
Yeah.
Whatever someone, if you are willing to create an AI bot, essentially, that does something that something that potentially could negatively impact other people, then there's nothing stopping you from doing that if you were to put the time and effort into it.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I think it's gonna be really challenging, and I think the next step is gonna be AI videos. I said it first. We are here right now in 2022, end of 2022. The future is gonna be AI video content. Just watch out. About 2 to 3 years, the first AI video content will come out. But let's talk about ways to benefit from AI versus being scared of losing your job, which you will probably do at some point. But until then, there's some ways to actually make money with it. And with the DALI, how do you pronounce it? DALI?
I think it's DALI. I don't know. It's DALL-E.
All right. So with DALI, okay. So NFTs have gone through a lot of shit, just because the FTX pretty much screwed over half of humankind. But you can create a lot of images with that kind of software, and if you figure out what to write in order that the program understands what you're looking for, you can actually sell this as art. As it's stupid as it sounds, but you actually can sell this. You can download the image, you can make it as a vector file, and you can just sell this item, to people who, I don't know, collect stuff. It sounds weird, but you actually can. That's one way. The other way is, and this is something probably my company does. So I'm a marketing agency, and writing content is a huge time-intense task. You need to do brainstorming. You need to understand, okay, what do people look for, and then you need to write. Then you have to rewrite. Then you have to use Grammarly to just avoid all those punctuation problems. I discovered GPT, and I basically will go now to my clients and say, hey, I'm going to create you 5 pieces of content, and this is just a beta, and then I just put out the content, just overlook it if it's basically true, and if it's good, then just ready to go. That saves me probably a day, or probably 2, when we talk about blog posts. And if I just type in, hey, write a 500 words blog post about XYZ, I checked yesterday with 5 tips on how to be prepared for your car, with your car, or for the winter season. And it gave me 5 things that you need to check, including battery, tires, washer fluid, all those important things. And I was like, okay, this is freaking crazy. This actually, wow. I was blown away. Um, so ultimately, you can become a copywriter or a content creator in terms of text form quite easily now. So what you can do is you can go to all those different companies. There are hundreds of millions of companies out there. You can go to them and say, hey, I create content for you. And then just create content, or basically just ask the modern Jarvis, the real life Jarvis, Chat, and I'm gonna call him Chat.
Hmm.
That's one way
Chat
to,
GPT.
yeah.
But the thing is here is that there's still an element of human input. So with this, you still have to ask the right question to produce that piece of content.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, you're saying, write a 500 word essay on XYZ. There's various ways that you could basically ask it to do the same thing, and some maybe more might work better than others. So then it still comes down to the human being sort of putting in that time and putting in the correct question. Well, not correct question, but the question that's going to produce the best results. Like I just typed in now, it's quite funny. 5 tips for eating chicken, and I even spelt a word wrong. I said 5 tips how to eat chicken, but because but I actually spelled how wrong. I put ho instead of how. So instead of hitting the W, I hit the E, and, and it spit me out a load of stuff like how to get. It's like choose chicken that is free range and organic, if possible. The type of chicken that is this, if possible, this type of chicken is likely to be healthier and more flavorful before cooking. Rinse the chicken under cold water. Then when cooking chicken, be sure to cook it thoroughly. And so you can have quite a bit of fun with this because you can put like loads of random stuff in there. Obviously, this is quite a random thing. I know how to eat chicken, as do most people probably, or I hope so at least. Or know how to cook chicken as well.
That's funny. No, and also when I think about it, so I tried different questions. Like, it was not just work; it was also like human fundamental questions, like what is love, and it puts out a really
Interesting.
nice perspective on it. Where when you type in Google what is love, then you get basically a Wikipedia definition of love is XYZ. But chat is basically giving you a real answer to love is a human feeling, and it's perceived by individuals slightly differently from one to another. And I thought this is very interesting to see that chat is so good in conversation of answering your question, because it is a complex question. Like, what is love to you might differ from the way how I see and receive love, or how to have healthy relationships. I typed it in. We had an episode on this, but Chad was just giving me a freaking 5 dots of how to have a good relationships, like a valuable conversation or like a relationship. And I was just like, okay, so we spent 30 minutes on talking about this, and you could have just asked Chad. It's
Yeah, potentially.
it is really crazy what it can do. Yeah, that's that.
It is. I've just typed in those questions. Actually, what is love? I also asked it, what is the meaning of life? And the way that they write back to you is, should I read one of these out?
Yeah.
Perhaps it might be interesting for people. So, what is love? So, Chat GPT. It's a bit of a mouthful to say that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, love is a complex mix of emotions, behaviors, and beliefs associated with strong feelings of affection, protectiveness, warmth, and respect for another person. It can also include deep romantical or sexual attraction. Love can be a powerful force that motivates and inspires us, and also can bring joy and in happiness to our lives. At the same time, love can be difficult and can cause pain and heartache. Love is a many faceted thing that can mean different things to different people. So a little bit of a wishy-washy thing. I mean, that's sort of the thing. I guess you would expect that from Google if you type that into Google, right?
I tried it out. What is love? And then you get basically just get the definition of love, and like the definition
What,
of
the Oxford Dictionary
yeah,
definition?
yeah, and the way how Chat GPT is referring to it is basically everything what it says it that love is. I agree, but when you talk to a
Hmm.
like to a person that is not open-minded, then that person will give you their perspective and this is the reality for them, which makes the conversation different. But the OpenAI keeps it factual, which is a good thing. And this is where the double sword is, like the double-sided sword. One is if the input is factual correct, AI can be very, very helpful to all of those millions of people. But if just one thing
Hmm.
of the equation is wrong, or like one person in that programmer thing that put like has input into it, that can flip upside down. And then all this good stuff turns into like really, really bad thing. And I think this is what the future needs to be aware of. So if
Hmm.
my tip, and I really need to say my tip because I feel like it is a fundamental thing to do, is be curious, take everything with a little bit of grain of salt, and just ask more thorough questions about whoever is saying to you, whether it's how to make money, if someone is just trying to sell you a course how to make money, rather it's someone
Hmm.
who's trying to sell you an investing course. Quote unquote FTX was a very safe way to invest, and everyone got all the YouTubers got shit on now because they supported FTX. Um, but yeah, always question where the source of information is coming from and what the intentions are, from who you receive it from. You know what I mean? Like when someone, it's tough. But if you ask a doctor, the doctor definitely wants you to stay healthy, but he needs to make commissions. So he's basically working with the pharma
Hmm.
industry because the pharma industry only makes money on sick people. So if you have sick people cured properly, then you have like pharma goes broke. And I don't think pharma wants to go broke. So they try to make medicine and medical devices that keeps you on the hook. This goes maybe into a conspiracy theory or whatnot, but basically what I want to try to say is we are living in a world where profits matter, and that's why it's important to see where's the dollar coming from. And information is not free. Don't be delusional. Information is only free to those who want to make a sale or kind of want to sell something. And you just need to see the intention. So, to give you a different example, and a good example, I guess, it's Alex Hormozy. This is like one of my idols at the moment, or like one of my passive mentors. Um, he makes YouTube videos and he puts out content of how to make money. And he says he's very straightforward. He doesn't want to sell you anything up until the point you make about 10 million a year. Then he wants to partner up with you to bring $10 million worth of revenue to 100 million. This is like what he's trying to do. And he's clear with his intentions. And that's why his stuff that you can access is free, basically. But he is hoping to get business or future business because of his outputs he put in today. So he's open with it, but most people aren't. And this is where I kind of want to get attention to it is be curious where you get the information from. Who is designing the AI you are using, whether it's Siri. Don't ask Siri of, okay, Google, you know. Those, like, it's always very important to see through the noise. So that's why I ask questions, ask more questions, and just get a clear understanding. What are the stances? Where does the other person come from? And what are the benefits from the other person if they refer you to something or to someone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that we're getting a little bit philosophical. I pretty much butchered that word, but basically, intentions, yes, it is a good idea to say, like, what are the intentions behind this? However, what someone says the intentions are may not actually be what they are. You know, the subconscious, now we're getting a little bit into what's going on in the subconscious. I believe that all behavior has positive intention for the person making it. Whether that positive intention may be for the long term or for the short term, we don't know. You can tell sometimes, but it's very much it's one of those questions where if someone was to try and sell me something, I could probably drive myself crazy thinking, do they really want what's best for me? Do they really want what's best for them? And this and that. So, it's one of those things where you can overthink it quite a lot. I would say be careful of that. With AI and the intentions behind AI, I think we're very much in a new stage. But however, I feel like a lot of the things that we are talking about here, like AI has been around for many years, let's not get that wrong. A lot of things that we're talking about here, like loss of jobs, ethical concerns. I think these are the main thing is ethical concerns, right? I'm sure that when other things have changed dramatically in different industries, new things have come about. I think that ethics is something that is generally always is thrown about, like, and the reality is that in fact, as much as we want to believe that everyone is ethical, everyone has morals, the fact is, like you're saying, with this pharma stuff and pharmaceutical companies in general, oil companies, and all this sort of stuff, that's just not the case. It's not the case that these people are ethical. It's more so the case of where's the money, and you see this back hundreds of years ago as well. Well, let me just make sure that I've got my facts right. But you see this hundreds of years, I think, hundreds of years ago. Or maybe not so much. But some decades ago, like with people like Nikola Tesla, who essentially people would believe that he had found a way to create open source energy, essentially unlimited energy, electricity, what we're talking about here, for free to the masses, using vibrational frequencies, I believe, wirelessly. And then, his work, people would believe, is that a lot of that work has been sort of eradicated because it would not make profit for these oil companies that have been around for possibly longer than he has.
Yeah.
So then you think, as much as we want to move society forward, really we're being held back by older school ways of thinking. And what country was it? I'm sure that there was a country where they didn't have railroads, or like they don't have many railroads because oil companies basically wanted people to be driving cars all the time.
America?
Do you remember this?
Kidding.
I'm not sure if you've heard of that. Maybe it was America.
I don't know. That was just a joke. Just here, disclaimer. Although the railroad system here in the U.S. absolutely sucks, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's America. But yeah. Have you found it out?
Well, something's going on here. I mean, like, it's so funny that you see in this country, in the UK, since 2015, there's been one motorway in particular which I drive down. Not that often, but often enough to notice it. Continuously under construction, so the normal speed limit is 70, and through this bit it's 50, which pains me every single time. And that motorway has been under construction. Sure, the 50 limit zone has like moved from section to section,
Yeah.
but that has been under construction for the best part of 7 years now. And then you look at China, and China build a road, like you just close your eyes and open the road is there. You're like, how has that happened? Maybe it's a load of health and safety things that we have here. Maybe it's a load of regulations that we have here. Honestly, I don't know. But why is it that some countries are able to advance so fast compared to other countries?
Yeah, it's so
like
funny.
look at Dubai. Look at UAE. And
they build entire
how
islands. They built islands within a decade. Okay. And not just an island where you have like palm trees and like one little cabin on it. They built islands with like high rises of high-end like luxury buildings. So
and proper infrastructure as well.
Yeah. No, that's
not just stuff that's gonna break.
Yeah. And I think this is where AI can help, but I mean, ultimately, AI is not going away ever. I think this will stay forever. But I wouldn't say take it as see it as a danger. I think this is like the message I want to bring across. AI is your helper, whether it's Siri or Google or whatever assistant you're using. What you should do, regardless if you use AI or not, question the intentions, the people behind each software, or whatever someone is saying to you. Just check the credentials. Is that person qualified to give you that advice or that recommendation? AI is a helper, but you always should treat it with some skepticism, like something that I get it, but I double check with myself and get a different opinion. The problem is AI gives you instant information where it makes it harder or like more inconvenient to get another opinion or another source of information. That's just my take on this. AI, you can make money with it if you use it properly. And right now it's the best time ever to actually utilize AI for your benefit, because there are no legal restrictions on how far it can go. So it's basically like the wild, wild west, where everything is free and there are no regulations, which is essentially not a good thing, but it's a good thing for people in our generation. We can find boundaries, we can find and define limitations. And so now's the time to take advantage of AI, and just do good, not bad. Be good. Have good intentions. And I guess that's it for today. I just wanted to talk about AI and NFTs and like the new generation of involvement in the, I guess, computer world. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, I guess I should say this a little bit more often, but if you haven't subscribed to our channel, subscribe to our podcast on all major platforms. So if you want to watch the YouTube video, check out the YouTube video. Link is down in the description. And if you want to listen to the podcast instead because you don't want to watch us, that's also quite understandable. Just listen to our podcast on all those major platforms. Also, link in the description. And yeah, we'll see you next time.